Hello, YouTube. Hey, so we're going to do something really fun and possibly a little insane on this. We're just going to hand out Ricky's cell phone number.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
The number is 208-918-3871. It's posted in the description as well. That's his cell phone number. We want you guys to just call in and ask us anything internet marketing related. We're going to take your questions live on the show. So seriously, pull out your cell phone, and if you have a question, ask us there. It's going to be really, really fun. So before we kind of get the questions starting to roll in, we wanted to just give you a quick update on what's happening with Project Rexburg and Camper Report. So this is what we're super excited. Oh, we got a question. All right, let's talk to Michael Kern.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, Michael, you're on.
Has somebody hacked your YouTube account?
Nope.
What kind of question?
Are you guys live right now?
We are. We're live right now.
Oh my God.
He's like, I'm on the internet.
I saw this pop-up on my desktop, and the funny thing is, I'm like, I want to talk to these guys. You guys offer so many great nuggets. It's unbelievable.
Well,
thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Tell us what can we help you with?
You know what? I need to know more about site structure. I've been at this since 2007. I consider myself an SEO. I love everything you guys talk about, like screw link building, all that stuff. I've only watched 2 of your videos, actually, but I'm like, oh my God, only people who've been at this a long time know this stuff. And then I'm getting pearls from you guys. You guys are just giving it away. It's crazy. But internal, linking, I have, 140 pages, and I have so many orphan pages.
Oh, okay. Hey, just so you guys know, if we're hanging up on you, I'm sorry. That's just how we got to do it. But we'll take your question. We'll answer it on the air. And thanks, Michael, for calling in.
Yeah, so that's a good question because orphaned pages should just almost never happen if you just organize your menu bar in just a reasonable way. Whether it's just blog and you have your entire blog roll there, or you have separate categories, whatever. So that should just take care of, you should never have an orphaned page. An orphaned page means a page on your website that you can't navigate to. So that should take care of that. I think the bigger issue is just the internal link structure and making sure you get links from the posts that should be there to where they need. So an example of this, we're working on a website where we're doing reviews of Nest and Ring video doorbells. And so we have a ton of articles kind of answering questions about the install, and then 1 or 2 pages that are just reviews of those. We want to make sure all of those pages that are just helpful info link back to the review, because that's where we have our affiliate links and the big high value stuff, right? And so what we've done is we've created a brand plan with all of the articles, how many articles in kind of each section of the website. And then when we're done writing everything, we go back through each of the sections and making sure they're linking to where they need to. But you can't do it just as you're making the website, because sometimes you need to link to an article that you haven't yet written. And so it's really like after you do a big chunk of content, then go back through and make sure.
And that's what I would do. I do it as you do chunks of content rather than saying, oh, well, when my site's done. I mean, your site will probably never be done. So just kind of this brand plan is great, and it's kind of just a new thing that we're doing, but we have our whole kind of structure of a website that could last us years of article writing, just planned out, the different categories we're going to do, approximately how many articles we think will fit in that category. And so with that plan in mind, it's really easy to go back then and just know where each article should link because we thought about it ahead of time. Menu structure and stuff, I mean, that's all fairly straightforward, I think, as long as everything on your website is accessible through a menu.
All right, next question is coming from Chesonis Tim. Hey, Tim, we got you.
Hi guys, how are you? Thanks for taking my call.
So appreciate it.
Great.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I am from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
All right. What can we help you with?
Well, I am calling because I would like to know if you guys think the customer service would be a good niche website. I live, breathe, have been doing this, a tremendous amount of experience and authority on the subject, and specifically, and here's the angle, how one could change the culture or environment within their workplace, whether you're a janitor or a CEO or a customer service manager, training your people how to treat customers when you're on the phone. I could just talk endlessly about it, but that's really what I'm calling to see if you guys think that would be a good approach. If you think it's, if I go that route, is it going to succeed, basically?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's a reasonable question. What I would say is advice is a heck of a lot harder to sell than information. And so if you're talking about just like how to be better in customer service, posts like that we have a harder time getting to rank as much as when you're answering a hard question with information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. What we find is that opinion and advice just is very hard because that's not exactly what people go looking for. In this case, I think that people do go looking for like, what can I do? How can I change my business, my work culture? But that's one question, right? Mm-hmm. And so if your entire website is built around one question, it's going to really, really struggle to just bring in the kind of traffic that you want.
Okay, good question. Mower Man, who's in Project 24, is asking in the chat, what lawnmower do I have? I don't own a lawnmower, sorry. I pay somebody to mow.
We got another wireless caller here. Hey, so who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Martin Corey calling from New Brunswick, Canada.
All right, how are you?
Project 24 member.
Right, I recognize your name.
Right on. I just had a question that I just have a hard time finding online as the answer to. One of my YouTube channels has started to pick up, and two videos right when I posted them, one of which for the first 4 days I've got about 70,000 views, and then it just tapered off. And it's not because there's thumbs down or anything. There's over probably, I think now 1,200 thumbs up and maybe 100 thumbs down and a lot of comments. But I just wonder if the second video that it does this, it goes from having about 3,000 views a day to getting upwards of 20 to 30,000 views a day, but only for about 5-6 days, and then it tapers back down to 3,500.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I get your question. So this is something that drives us bonkers as we're watching our YouTube numbers. And I think the quick answer is that in the first 48 hours, Google tests your content with your audience. And so we'll see kind of a big push at the beginning, the lower the second day. And with that data, the user data of how people interacted with the video, Google decides, okay, who are we going to push this out to? And then sometimes we'll see, 48 hours and then all of a sudden, kaboom, and it'll just take off. And kind of independent of the like and dislike ratio, sometimes it's done at that point after a push there. That Google found another tangential audience that would like your video, and that was kind of the end. They didn't find other audiences that would have liked it. Sometimes you see just steady over time, some of our videos just steady over time, and that's when they're ranking in search. But we're finding more views from the ones that just go boom even for a short amount of time than the search over a long time.
Yeah, I would say that's true. And exactly which videos do which, it's just hard to predict. I'm not sure anybody's really got the algorithm totally nailed, but I think there's a lot of conjecture about what does and doesn't work, and there's certainly a lot of good information out there. We haven't totally nailed it yet, though.
Mm-hmm. Nope, we haven't. Chase Reiner's in the chat. Hey, Chase, welcome. Glad to have you here. Everybody should check out his channel for sure.
All right, we got Luoma Eugene. Where are you calling from?
Brian, it's Brian actually.
Oh, Brian.
Brian from Cannibalization, yes, sir.
Can you speak up? It's kind of hard to hear you.
Yep, no, I'm glad I made it
There you
through.
go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So, yeah, my question is, they talk keyword stuffing on your blog posts and not to do too many keywords. So you have your one or two focus keywords for your new post you're doing. What about the headings going down? Can you use LSI, or is that considered keyword stuffing? Shouldn't you use like in your headings for each paragraph, like related terms, or is that not good?
Good question. I think you may be overthinking it a little bit, though.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true. What I think is dangerous is when the article becomes a bad experience for the user. Then it's keyword stuffing. If somebody's reading it and they think, why do they keep saying that over and over again? It's keyword stuffing. Mm-hmm. If it feels natural, it's not keyword stuffing. Using subheadings throughout your article that are related and that talk about the various that just is part of making an article readable and scannable. And so that's a good user experience. So I wouldn't get too worried about frequency of use of certain keywords.
It's not even something we track.
No, at all.
We just tell our writers, just write the answer to this question. And we do have very specific ways of how we want to format it and how we can best serve the user with on-page SEO. I'm not saying that doesn't matter. I'm saying keyword density is pretty 1995.
Yep, I would absolutely agree. All right, good question. All right, we got another call here. Who is this and where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Ariel from India.
Welcome.
Yes. So my question is, how to get accepted by AdThrive after reaching 100K traffic?
With how much traffic?
100K plus traffic a month.
So how to get accepted by AdThrive when you have 100,000 or more page views a month? Good question.
So the acceptance depends on a lot of different things.
Yep.
Yes, you need to meet the traffic threshold, and this is a specific ad broker, one that we really like.
Yeah.
It depends on a lot of different things. How much of your traffic is from the US is a big one, which I know that's really annoying, like he's from India.
Right.
It's not that people in other countries aren't valuable, it's just they get more advertisers that want to advertise from the US.
Exactly.
So that's a big one. And then just the industry that you're in. If there are certain, if it's a type of website that wouldn't be as appealing to an advertiser, and like your website design, if it's just a nice looking design. And then they want to look at where your traffic comes from and stuff. Is this a kind of spammy site? How, is this all from social that could go away quickly? Things like that. So it really depends on a lot of factors.
I would say that before you go apply for one of these premium ad brokers, whether it's AdThrive or one of the other ones out there, before you do that, spend a little bit of time on the site design, layout. Make sure that it just looks appealing. Just that it doesn't feel like, an early 2000s era personal blog or some guy's opinion about a bunch of stuff. Make it look and feel like an inviting, somewhat professional, even if personal, but somewhat professional looking website. And your chances of being approved are much higher. What we find, what we've been told, is that most advertisers make a decision about your website in the first 5 to 10 seconds of looking at the site.
It's a quick, like it, don't like it. And they're looking for something like a privacy policy, make sure this site is super legit, make sure it looks nice, and they say yes, advertiser, no. They aren't going to spend all day analyzing your brand.
Every website.
We want to tell you about something really, really cool we're doing. It's at incomeschool.com/immersion. Like Dunkin' Water immersion. You can see the link in the description. We're just announcing this today to the broad audience on YouTube. This is a 4-day intensive program that we're doing here in Boise. So we're only selling 30 tickets. It's going to be a super small group. Ricky's going to be there, I'm going to be there, and Freddie, our manager of our creator studio, is going to be there. And we're just going to spend 4 full days working directly with you on your website and just mastering everything. We're starting with a complete audit of your website, an SEO audit of your site. We're just going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and see everything that's missing, anything that could be holding you back. And then we kind of build from there. We work on, okay, what do we need to do to push it forward? We talk about monetization, growing our community, multimedia, everything. Really excited about it. Incomeschool.com/immersion. So check it out. Only 30 tickets are being sold, so I'm not sure how long it'll last.
All right. Now back to the questions. All right, we got another one coming in. Who is this and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Keith from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hey, Keith. Welcome.
Hi, thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question regarding, I know that you focus mainly on niche websites and smaller websites, but what about creating a website that's just all in one? What would you consider that would be easier to rank, specifically for a niche or something bigger than that?
Just how broad of a site to make. Something we have spent probably 30 to 40 hours talking about over the last few months.
Yeah, here's the short of it. What we find is that for scaling up a business, for making a large business out of websites in general, it is a lot easier to manage, maintain, and to monetize. You get a higher return by making larger websites, fewer large websites versus a whole bunch of little websites. And so that is the direction we are personally going. Making small niche websites is a great way to build an income up for yourself, and it's where you should start. It's the easiest way to get initial traction on any website. So when we start big websites, we start by siloing. We want to make a big website, let's say about outdoors. Well, fine. Well, let's start by making a rappelling silo and maybe a camping silo. And so basically what we're doing is making a handful of little tiny niche websites on that one big website so that we can get authority in those smaller niche topics. We can talk about the really specific things that the big websites are ignoring. But by gaining that early initial authority, that early initial traction, we can turn it into a massive site. You can do the same thing on what could have started as a niche topic. And a perfect example of this is Camper Report. CamperReport.com started off as a niche website about campers and RVs. 30, 50 articles written, and then it sat for a while. About a year ago, we hired some freelance writers, started adding more content to it. Now we're using our creator studio to add even more content to it. And that website, even though it was started out as a niche topic, is turning into a pillar of the industry of campers and RVs.
Yeah, we're by the end of this, in the next 6 weeks, we're going to have 800 articles on Camper Report. Last summer, we only had 100. And we've been going through the industry with a fine-tooth comb of every single keyword topic we could write about for a blog post. And by the end of this summer, it should really be that you can't Google anything about RVs without us coming up in the top 5. I mean, if there's a keyword out there, we're going to have something on it. And so it's something that started as a small site and it's stayed focused on RVs. And that can work really well, that you're a fairly small topic. On the other hand, an outdoors website that's very, very general can also work, but only if you're going to add thousands of articles to that site to really fill up the outdoors space.
All right, great question. All right, we got another question here. Who is this and where are you calling from?
Hey, how are you guys? This is Dr. Ryan out of New York, aka
Welcome.
SmashingWealth.com, aka Project 24 member.
Awesome.
All right, welcome.
Well, first things first, I want to thank you guys for buying the course. It's incredible experience. It's great to see you guys are active in the community and helping everybody out.
Thanks.
And my question is, I know you guys say stick to the plan and the system you guys put in place. And, one thing I've been doing is I've been using the Astra theme and Elementor as a page builder. And how do you guys feel about page builders like Elementor? Or do you think we should just stick to the, bread and butter of just using the WordPress and Xtheme and not using any page builders?
Yeah, great question.
Thanks.
So page builders are fantastic. You'll see on Income School, we've built it with Divi, which is a very powerful page builder because we want everything to look custom and cool on every single page. And so if you're using Elementor and Astra instead, it's fine. You're going to do good. There's no reason not to do that, except this one giant caveat, and that is suddenly you can't ever change your theme. If we had to change from Divi on Income School right now, it would be like 3 weeks of work to undo all those page builder things. That would be a mess. And so on the vast majority of our sites, we don't want to use page builders to build our pages. We'll really only use a page builder for like the home page and a sales page, and that's it. All of the blog posts, everything else, are just using Gutenberg, which is a very powerful page builder, and just normal styling of the post. Then if we need to change themes, big deal. In 2 hours, we redesign the home page and a couple category pages, and we're done.
We also find that themes, as well as page builder plugins, but themes that have a really capable page builder, if you use that functionality a lot on your website, the pages that use that functionality will load more slowly because there's just a lot more coding going on. Whereas with just a simple streamlined theme, you're going to be able to load much faster. Plus, for anybody just getting started here, if you're writing your first 30, 60 articles, even 100 articles, I would rather you focused mostly on content and use a fairly simple theme so that the design doesn't get in the way. It's far better to have just a simple, streamlined, clear design with good content than to spend a whole bunch of time trying to customize design and ignoring the content.
We got a super chat from Chip Rodriguez who says, I recently started ketoprepping.com. Do recipe websites still make money nowadays? Yeah, we just posted an interview on our YouTube channel of the lady who paid off her house. It's a recipe blog. So yes, I think it absolutely works. Is it a very dense space with a lot of content out there? Yeah. And is Google trying to kind of commoditize that industry by, just displaying the recipes right on the SERP? Yes, that's also happening. But are there also tens of thousands of people making money in this space? Yes. And so can it be done? Absolutely, no question. The reason you don't see a recipe site from us is the best thing I can make is toast.
I use recipe websites a lot, but it's probably not
I make a mean bowl of Cap'n Crunch. Crunch-matize me, Cap'n.
All right, we got another question here. Who's this and where are you calling from?
I'm John. I'm calling from San Antonio.
Hey, John, welcome.
That's where I was born.
Hey.
I've been there.
I've only been here for 2 years, actually from Chicago, but
all right.
It's been a nice time. I wanted to ask you a question. After writing all the articles, is one supposed to monetize all of the articles they've written?
Good question. Thanks for that. We would not recommend monetizing every article. In fact, this is an interesting point. I heard this recently on a podcast from the paid advertising guy from ClickFunnels. And he said something that we've been basically saying for a while. And that is that one of the best things that you can do to increase the traffic to your website and help increase the overall income of the site is to have helpful content without a call to action, oftentimes. So what we find is it's far better to basically make your monetization, everything should be like a sales funnel. If you put affiliate links on every page of your website, it looks and feels like you're just trying to sell constantly. It feels spammy. If instead, Jim mentioned this before a little bit with like the nest and stuff that we're doing on one of our websites, where we have a whole bunch of articles talking about how-to guides, installation guides, that kind of stuff for Ring and Nest, home security stuff, doorbells, that kind of stuff. But rather than put an affiliate link in every single one of those articles will then point people to our recommendations for which Ring doorbell they should get or which doorbell they should get. And on that page, we can monetize it. And what that does is it just gets more traffic to the website overall because people have a better experience, sends good signals to Google. Just a lot of things are happening that helps you get higher ranking, more traffic. People trust the content better, and then they're more likely to click through. And in the end, you actually make more money off of monetizing less pages as long as you have a strategy, an interlinking strategy to get people moving throughout your site. MGK
Pools Inc. asks on our chat what industry conferences we attend. We don't attend a ton. I've been to a few and was very underwhelmed. But there is one that we are speaking at in September, FinCon, the Financial Bloggers Conference, that I've heard just rave reviews about the conference. We usually don't go to a bunch of conferences, but when we got invited that one, we're like, yeah, we're definitely going. So if you're going to FinCon, come there and meet us.
I'm going to take this call and then we'll get to another super chat. Hey, who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Dragos from Romania. I'm from Fitzcapel, from P24. 24. Sorry for my English, it's not my first language.
That's okay. Glad to have you.
I have a question. We want to start a big website about coffee and tea. It will be one we plan to do 1,000 and more posts on it. And how will you monetize that website about coffee and tea? Besides that.
Coffee and tea.
Something we know so much about.
Thanks.
We don't drink coffee or tea. So monetization in your first year for most sites, we're talking about affiliate and advertising, are usually going to be just very good. You'll probably end up, if you do something like that, with an EPMP, estimated earnings per 1,000 page views, of around 20, 25, $30, depending on your industry. So you get so about 20 to 30 EPMP, I would say. The question is, how do you take it from the 20, where we're starting and we just have ads and affiliate, which is good income. You can make good income with that. But how do you take it to the 200? How do you take it to the 400? And that's where the real hard work begins in a niche where you've got to just start using your mind. You got to go look at ClickBank and ShareSale and see what affiliate offers are out there, etc.
Yeah,
info products.
Think outside the box. I mean, could you have some guidance, some video courses on how to make a really, really cool espresso, how to do the cool like designs and stuff people do that baristas do? Could you have a barista course on a coffee and tea website? Maybe if the focus of the website is to inform people about coffee and tea and to point them to buying coffee and tea, it's a little bit harder to attract people that want to become baristas or learn how to do cool stuff. But if you have some content on that topic and you have people coming in that have that interest, that's the thing, that you have to just think a little bit and be willing to brainstorm. If you're not an overly creative person, which I am by nature not, I have a hard time just like seeing new things. But when an idea comes up, I can usually recognize the merit and then start making connections and improve upon that idea. So find a business partner, a friend, somebody that you can just bounce ideas off of and that is more creative than you, which is what Jim is in this business partnership. And you'll find stuff. Info products work well. I don't think that coffee and tea would do super well for like lead gen or many of the other ways that we make money. It is a little bit more product focused, which makes it make a lot of sense for affiliate marketing. But who knows, maybe you could advertise for one of the big coffee brands out there or something and get something that's just a little bit more premium than a straight up normal ad. Yeah,
so an idea of that, we'll kind of go behind the curtain a little bit. We had a hours-long discussion in this office this week about Camp Report. How do we go from $20 GPMP to $400? And one strategy that we're going after is going to be lead gen. I mean, we'll have probably by the end of this summer 750,000 page views a month on that website or more. And so at that point, like, we're covering so much of the RV industry. Like, what if we get a dealer in each state and we have a tool that people can find out about an RV, enter their email address, and then a local dealer calls them to show them that, hey, I have that RV model in stock right now. And then we sell that lead to the local RV dealer for 10, 20, who knows how much for that lead. So you got to kind of, if you want to stick at $20 EPMP, you can do that all day long.
And it can be very passive.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can make a lot of money with just ads and affiliate and don't get creative. But if you want to get to 200, you got to start figuring stuff out.
All right. Question from Traditional Archery Guide. Should I be concerned about CTR in console? Site started in September, 80% through Project 24. Asked in the community yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. So CTR is click-through rate. It's how many people will see your listing on a SERP and how many actually are going to click through to your website. The number's always going to seem a little scary because, especially if you're ranking a little bit lower, you're 8, you're 10 ranking for that specific search query. And so I wouldn't panic too much about this number. If you're writing compelling headlines, then this number is what it is, right? Like it just is what it is. You're probably number 8. They maybe never have even looked at it, even though you were technically on the SERP. And sometimes it's low, but you're actually doing really, really well. It just means you're showing up, maybe ranking number 7 or 8 for a bunch of similar searches. And so the number is lower, even though it doesn't mean it's a bad article. So not exactly a metric I'd panic about.
Yeah, that is the thing with all of the metrics you see in Google Analytics and Search Console. You just have to try to understand what is it exactly that they're measuring. And based on that, like, what information is this telling me? So just saying like, oh, well, your click-through rate should be this, or you want it to be that, you just can't do that. Saying, a bounce rate of 85% is good or bad, you don't know if it's good or bad. Depending on the age of the website, the industry, the age of the content, there are a lot of things that are going to impact that. And the numbers are always just a little bit muddier than they maybe seem up front. So just be careful with that and just try to understand what it is that they're actually measuring so that you can take the helpful insights from it and ignore the ones that are going to worry you and freak you out.
Good question. Hey, you're live on the air. Who are you and where are you from?
Hi, this is Andrew. I'm from Northern Ireland. I'm a Project 24 member. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Jim and Ricky, for all the work that you're doing, both on YouTube and in Project 24. It's amazing, and I'm really enjoying being a member of Project 24.
Thank you.
My question is, I've got 2 websites with about 115 articles between them, and I'm struggling with my article title choice. Take an example of how to grow a lemon tree. Am I better targeting how to grow a lemon tree, or am I better splitting that down into subtopics like, how do you repot a lemon tree, how do you water a lemon tree, that sort of thing? Am I better splitting it up into lots of tiny articles that are lower competition, or going for the big guns and making a real pillar post?
Great question. Thank you for asking it. It's a tough thing. It's something that we wonder all the time. Do we break this apart or do we go for the bigger? I would say if your site is more established, you have significant traffic, you have a good domain rank, your site is doing well, I'd go for the one pillar post and just knock the topic out with one big awesome post that could then rank for multiple other things. If you're a newer site, I would break it up and I would attack each little piece, each little sub-question of that, because there's less competition and you're more likely to get it. So we do more response posts with the new website and fewer later on, as long as there are that many big topics in that particular industry. Sometimes you've written 30, 40 pillar posts eventually on a site and it's like there's nothing else to do a pillar post of. Everything is just smaller things now.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. It is a tough decision. And honestly, they both kind of have their purpose. So if I really do just want to know about how to repot a lemon tree, I'm more likely to click on an article about how to repot a lemon tree. And a response post is perfect for that. If I want just a total guide to how to plant and grow and be successful having a lemon tree, then I probably want a little bit more of a complete guide. And so eventually you may actually have both on your website. Not duplicate content and not necessarily super, super close. But repotting a lemon tree is just kind of like one aspect of planting and owning lemon trees, and it's small and really specific. So I would probably end up with both, but I'd focus on the response posts first.
Yeah, so this is something interesting. We've been hearing a lot about keyword cannibalization in the industry over the last couple of years, which is essentially where you write one article and then you write another article that's really close to that one, and Google just drops both of them down in the rankings, thinking it's kind of duplicate content there, right? And lately, I have been noticing an interesting trend where very often I'm seeing two different posts from the same website on that SERP. I haven't seen any data, and I haven't heard anybody else talking about this, but I've just seen it too often lately to ignore. That's like, whoa, we have two listings on the SERP for the same site. That is very unusual, or it used to be, and I'm just seeing that a lot more. So I'm less concerned about keyword cannibalization. I certainly wouldn't just write two articles that are the same thing, but I'm less concerned about that.
Right, and on this example of, if somebody's searching how to pot a lemon tree, like your article about potting the lemon tree would probably rank higher than your article about planting a lemon tree, even though that other article is a pillar post, simply because this one is more targeted and more specific. So again, it's not quite cannibalization in that sense either.
Practical Psychology says, how do I decide between articles that are easy to rank number one for but don't earn money, and articles that are more competitive but do earn money? It's tough. It's tough. In the beginning of a website, I'm going to write more articles that aren't necessarily the big monetization ones, because they're usually going to be less competition. And later on, ones that are more competition are the ones that are worth more money, and we'll end up going toward those more. But I will say that we're seeing the best success on keywords that just have no clear monetization strategy to other people. Things like, recommending which RV to buy, no clear monetization there, right? Because there's no affiliate link to Amazon to buy a $300,000 motorhome, right? But we can figure out how to monetize that by doing lead gen or something. And we can figure out how to monetize anything because we have ads on that post, which is a significant income source. So I don't worry about this a whole lot.
Yeah, the first thought that came to my mind was basically traffic is money in this industry, even if you're selling courses. For example, we put out a lot of YouTube videos where we don't talk about Project 24. We make pennies off the ad revenue from the YouTube video itself. But when people watch our videos, what do? They get to know us, they get to trust us, they learn helpful information, and they want to know more. And if this information was good and helpful to them, they'll seek out that more. And when we do occasionally link to or mention another another video that's monetized or something like that, then we get to monetize it. So I would focus less on, making sure that every article is clearly monetizable, and just focus more on what is the stuff people are looking for that's going to drive them to my website. And having something that's really low competition may not necessarily drive a lot of traffic because it might just be obscure enough that it doesn't. And so you need to balance that as well. It's a tricky balance.
All right, our next question is on the phone. Where are you from?
Hi, this is Thomas. I'm from Nashville.
Nashville, all right.
Welcome.
Yeah. So my question is, me and my wife started a website about 6 months ago, and I've been watching your videos, and I haven't used Product 24, but I've been going through some of your videos, and I have about 16 articles on there right now. I'm missing the ball on that. But my question is, right now we're getting about 5,000 users a month, new users, and about 20% of those people are going over to Amazon, and then about another 5% of those people are actually buying our products. But the thing is, we're only getting about $1 commission for each of those products. And my question is, our niche is hair. It's more niche down than that, but it's mainly hair, and the products are like $12, $15. And I'm trying to figure out a way how we can monetize the site better, moving forward. Because like $1 per sale is not a lot.
No, it's not. You're right.
Yeah, it's barely worth linking to a product on Amazon that's under $20. I mean, we're talking nickels that you're going to earn off this thing. And while yes, they could in theory also add a vacuum to their cart and you could get a percentage off of that, it happens a little bit less than you may think, especially now where people don't have to worry about getting over the $25 limit on Amazon. They're just kind of buying one thing because they're going to buy it on Amazon 3 times today. So yeah, it really is barely worth it to link to something like that. So I think, it's pretty straightforward. You need to look through your niche and see what's in the $150 to $300 range, the $80 to $300 range, where you could actually get a significant commission. But we've said it multiple times, and I'll say it again, Amazon is becoming a tinier and tinier and tinier piece of monetization for us as we grow. We're just finding better ways. I don't think we have any website where Amazon is anywhere close to what we get with ads.
Right, and it used to be the opposite.
Oh yeah, way the opposite.
And then it became kind of even, and now it's Amazon is a much smaller percentage of the income from our websites, even just compared to direct normal ads.
And that's not always true.
Not always.
There are certain industries where you could go and you can just make a killing on Amazon still. Definitely still possible. But for our websites, and I think most that we're seeing in Project 24, Amazon is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, don't ignore Amazon. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have links if they're just if they're well done and don't add to the spamminess factor of the website. But on the other hand, I wouldn't rely on it as the primary source of income. And Jim said it. The cookie on Amazon, it's a 24-hour cookie, but only until somebody makes an order. So if they click on your link and then buy something an hour later, great, you get a commission. But you don't get a commission for everything they buy after that within the 24-hour period. And since people are no longer waiting until they have a cart full of stuff before buying, just the consumer behavior on Amazon has changed. And because of that, you're just going to get a much smaller commission.
Yeah, and there have to be ways. If it's hair, we don't know what sub niche, but it's hair. Like there are definitely going to be affiliate offers for hair growth or wigs or whatever. There are absolutely going to be strong affiliate offers that you could sign up for and do. So if Amazon isn't working real well in your niche, then let's look elsewhere, because it's a big world out there. There's some pretty cool ways to monetize that pay a lot more, depending on your niche. Sometimes Amazon still does great.
All right, Vapor Origin is asking, can we apply this advice to selling products, a site that's selling products, like an e-commerce website? The answer to that is yes, but only if you're willing to do things differently, which is how you probably should do things. The traditional e-commerce model depends on you getting the word out somehow, right? That's some sort of form of advertising, usually social media advertising. And we're finding that is getting more and more expensive to be able to do. And so it's just less worth it. Mm-hmm. It makes e-commerce really, really tough if you're not a big site. And so if instead you use this organic approach that we use of creating content that has to do with an industry, and then you point people over to your own products, how is that any different than pointing people to Amazon products? You're pointing them to products on your own website. It works really well, and you get to make even more money off of it. So yes, it works, but it doesn't work as well using the traditional e-commerce model of social media marketing or relying on some larger platform to send you traffic because you're on their platform.
All right, next call says it's from Germany. No, Elk Grove, California.
Sorry. Hey, Troy, how's it going? Can you hear us?
Hi guys. My name is Phil. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, we're here. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Germany.
Okay.
What can we do for you?
I've got a website. It's more like a niche website where I talk about my experience in Germany, to be specific in Berlin. So my problem is actually traffic. Okay, so I want to get traffic from Google, just from Google, because I'm not really a social media kind of person. So I've watched a lot of videos and people talk about getting quality backlinks from like established sites, but I'm not really a social media kind of person. I want to get traffic, organic traffic, just from Google. And I've got like 7 articles on the website. So I was just thinking, do you think that by writing more articles on the website, then I'll get more traffic? Or what suggestions do you guys give? Like, would you guys give? What would you guys advise?
So this is a website that is just about your experience in Germany. And I think the number one tip I could give is make sure that the articles that you are writing, I would write more, but the articles that you're writing, make sure they're about things that people are searching for. So if it's, hey, here's what I had for lunch today, and here, that's nobody's searching for that. But if it's people traveling to Germany, students in Germany answering a specific question that they're likely to have, that they won't, that they're wanting to search on the internet before going to Berlin, then yes, you'll get traffic through that. So it requires a little bit of a shift in mentality of what you write about. Instead of writing about necessarily what you want to write about, you need to write about what people are just what they're searching for, and just use your common sense to try to think about what that might be.
Yeah, and having more content, yes, that is the answer, but only if it's good enough content that's actually going to rank. And so you really need both. But how do you rank on Google? I mean, I can feel his frustrations like, oh, I want Google traffic. How do I get it? And, it's long and slow and it takes time, but it's fantastic when you get there. You just got to keep working at it. Great content that matches the search and lots of it.
Yep, absolutely. All right. We got another call coming in. Hey, Troy. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on? This is Troy. What's up, man?
Hey, good to hear from you.
Let me get this call up and I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you ready for it?
Yep, ready for you.
Okay. Yeah, so my question is, there are a lot of blogging gurus on YouTube, as you probably know. If you can let everybody in the audience know just the reality of starting a blog, what it really takes to start a blog.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for the question, Troy. Troy's been working on his for quite a while now. We've met Troy. What it takes is a lot of just sometimes painful content creation. I think a lot of people get really discouraged early on because they don't see early results. We did a video series a little while back about the ghost town phase of a website. It's real. People in Project 24 see this a lot. They spend just weeks writing article after article and not seeing any traffic on their website, and they get discouraged.
Hard not to give up.
And the nice thing is, in this community we have in Project 24, everybody's like, oh yeah, I was there. Mm-hmm. But look at what my traffic did last month. And they show that little hockey stick shaped growth curve, and it's real. It happens over and over and over again, but it does take weeks, months of creating content without seeing the result in the beginning.
Yeah, so I just read a book, I think it was from Seth Godin, called The Dip. And what he talks about in the book is just that every business in the world has a dip. A time where you're putting in effort and just nothing is happening. It's that hard phase until you get to the result. And the deeper the dip is, the better your business is on the other side of it, right? If there were no barrier to entry to become a medical doctor, well,
everyone would be a doctor.
Take me to the operating room. I'd love to make $10,000 an hour, right? But there's a dip, and so not many people get there. There's a strong dip in this business too. It takes time to create content and work hard to build an audience. But once you're there, you have that wonderful dip behind you, keeping other people from competing. And so it's a horrible, frustrating thing, and it's a good thing. One other thing I want to say is, the question was, what does it take to succeed with a blog? This is somebody that's, maybe heard a lot of promises, and the truth is, nobody could answer that for you. We always say, you can write 30 articles, give them plenty of time to rank, and you can make a significant business. We've done it more than once, where we were earning thousands of dollars a month and tens of thousands of page views from 30 articles. Can be done. But if we tell you, so it takes 30 articles and you're set, that just very well may not be the case. There have also been times that we wrote 30 articles that just kind of flopped. So who is going to succeed? What does it take? It takes somebody who's willing to work through the dip no matter what it takes. I'm want to give a shout out. I hope I don't out somebody's blog that doesn't want it outed. But go look at anybulldog.com. Anybulldog.com. This is from our friend Jacob. He started another website. It got up to like 5,000 page views. It just wasn't quite getting there with what he had. And so he said, all right, I've learned there's some things I didn't do right. And, a lot of the articles were just a little too short, never quite got up to number one. And consequently, his traffic didn't. And so rather than just saying this business sucks and backing out, he's starting over. Anybulldog.com, go look at that site. It was started like 2 days before Christmas. It's like 2 months old, less than 2 months old. It's a fantastic site, what he's creating there. And they're working, him and his wife were working like daily creating content. That site will succeed. He's got it now. The other one wasn't quite there, but he's got it now. He's gonna get there. And so that's what it takes. Somebody who's willing to work through the dip. Nobody can tell you a specific amount of work. It's just for your situation. But if you're willing to work through the dips, you can get there. What could I earn on ads with 30,000 page views? This is from a super chat. Let's call it $20 EPMP. So 20 times 30. If you're just doing ads, that's probably it.
Yeah.
It totally depends on the industry, though. Sometimes you only get $12 or $4 for ads.
And that's the thing is that could earn $100 or it could earn $600, $650, $700 a month. Mm-hmm. PM asks, I do not want to use my real name on articles and YouTube videos. Can you use a pseudonym and will Google penalize you for not being credible? The answer is yes, you can, and no, Google will not. They have actually openly stated this in the document they use to train their quality checkers. We did a webinar about this a little while back. They specifically say a pseudonym is actually totally fine. And that pseudonym, that fake person will build credibility in your industry. So if you're going to use a pseudonym, stick with the same pseudonym, and you can use facts about yourself to give credibility to that pseudonym, and Google will be totally fine with that without you having to reveal who you are behind the curtain. So yeah, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and on that Jonathan Svensson question about how much can you earn, 5 or 100, it depends on your topic and where the traffic comes from, mostly. So if you have a blog for CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, well, you may be getting a very high RPM. But if you're writing about something less exciting, BB guns, you may not do well with ads at all.
Not at all. Yep. All right, good question. We've had more calls coming in.
Somebody asked on the chat how long we have been Trump supporters. I don't know. I don't know where people get this. I didn't even vote for Trump.
I didn't vote for Trump either. All right, we got a call here from Morocco. Hold on a sec. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get you on speaker.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, it's Amin from Morocco. I'm
Welcome.
a Project 24 member.
All right.
So, I had 2 years of frustration blogging in 2017 and 2018, and I didn't taste any success. And in 2019, I tried to take your advice by focusing just on one site and putting on a lot of content. So I did a keyword research on one site. So I'm planning this year on writing like 300 articles and trying somehow to force that success, so to speak. And my question is, I think I would have like 80% of response posts because my niche has a lot of questions that are pretty much underserved, and so just probably 80%, 20% of pillar posts and staple posts. So my question is, in my titles, would I just pick or write the question that is suggested by Google in the alphabet soup method, or would I rather
try to put in a pretty much a clickbaity title.
Headline. Good question. Thanks.
Generally, I wouldn't restate the question as the blog title. This is something that I'm kind of changing my opinion on recently because I want it to be able to rank for tangential keywords as well.
Yep, absolutely. And you kind of alluded to another question that I'll go ahead and answer, even though it wasn't exactly what you asked. You talked about being in an industry where there's just
This is like a bonus answer.
This is
like he didn't even ask us.
He didn't even ask
This
us,
is like,
but he alluded to it. You're in an industry where there's just a lot of questions without answers, with underserved answers. And first of all, I'm glad you didn't mention that industry because then there would be 30 competitors to you by tomorrow. But that's great that you found that. And having a website that has a higher percentage of response posts in the long run is totally fine if you're in that kind of an industry. So anyway, you've kind of lucked on to that, picked a good industry. And it's okay to not stick with the content mix of 10 response, 10 staple, 10 pillar. After those first 30, you need to do what's best for your website. And sometimes that's a lot of response posts, and sometimes it's a lot of pillar posts.
Patrick Barnett says, how long have you been Hillary supporters? I didn't vote for her either. Next election, I vote for you, you vote for me.
Good idea. We'll each get at least one vote for President of the United States. Oop. Sorry. We got another call here. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Jared from Northern Idaho.
Oh,
Hey, Jaron.
Hey guys, quick question. So now that you're building some larger, more authoritative sites, do you guys plan to make collecting emails and email marketing a bigger part of your business to increase your EPMB?
Thanks for the question.
Great question. Yeah, I think if you're going to go from $20 EPMP to the $200, like we talked about, how the earnings per 1,000 page views, then you're going to have to start doing this. I mean, You're going to have to get a little bit more sophisticated. The reason that we often don't collect emails on our smaller sites is just because we don't have the bandwidth to do anything with them. And part of the reason we want to build fewer very large sites, fewer sites and very large sites, is for this reason. Then we have a smaller number of sites to work with, and we can do things like that. So absolutely, and like we mentioned with the RV site, that we're working toward a lead gen model on that website. Absolutely, we're going to be collecting emails on that. So yes. I think if you're turning your site into a authority site, even though we hate that term, you definitely should be collecting emails. But there are reasons that maybe if you want to keep this totally passive and you want to keep this just ads on Amazon, that maybe we don't need to do that.
Don Page is asking, I think you're asking, about a website that's selling like handbags. What would you write about? What topics could you possibly write about when you're selling handbags for your website? I think you could write about all sorts of fashion-related topics. What goes with what? This isn't something I have a lot of experience with. You guys may recognize that more often than
cute with a handbag.
More often than not, I wear like plaid shirts. I am an Idaho outdoors fashion kind of guy, and so but I would probably write content just about accessories and outfits and things and. There's definitely a direction to go here. I don't think there's any industry out there that you couldn't blog about something. Yeah,
you just probably have to come at it from an angle. But could you do, what are those super expensive handbags that cost like $100,000?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a long wait list for you could find little things like that and answer interesting questions about that. People just Google out of interest. And then you're starting to build up some credibility with Google about just that handbag term. But yeah, I think we're mostly going to be writing about fashion, having great pictures, pinning it on Pinterest.
You're getting some good comments here. How to keep your handbag organized. I mean, that's a good one. So anyway, you're just going to have to come at it from a little bit of a different angle.
Okay, are we eligible to vote?
Yes. And we both voted.
We voted.
At least I assume
I voted.
All right, we got another call coming in here. All right, who is this and where are you calling from? Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I'm crying in the night. Oh, they hung up. They didn't like us.
They hung up on me.
They didn't
That's
like
okay.
us.
That's okay.
All right, we probably should wrap this thing up. Hey, this was super fun. I think we need to make this a regular feature. It's fun to talk to people on the phone. It made that enjoyable. Hey, before you leave, check out incomeschool.com/immersion. This is our 4-day program that we're doing. We're just announcing it today, and there are only 30 tickets being sold, period. That's the end of it. It's here in Boise. We're just going to go crazy on your website. So you're going to be working directly with me, directly with Ricky, directly with Freddie, our manager of our creator studio, and we're just going to master your website. This isn't for a brand new beginner. We want you to at least be able to kind of get through the 60 steps of Project 24 before this, or if you're not in Project 24, at least have a good start with some content on your website and stuff. It's just not going to be super helpful if we can do this full SEO audit of your website and stuff if we don't have anything to be giving feedback and critique on. So check it out, incomeschool.com/immersion. If you're there now, or if you can get there before the program starts, we'd love to have you. It's okay if you don't have traffic and income, but we just need at least some kind of good start on your website before. So check that out. Thanks everybody.